it's a good day. It's a good day. It's a good day. You know why it's a good day? It's a good day because the Mets are in the playoffs, and tonight was the final 3-hour edition of Monday Night Raw for the rest of this year. Have to put that little qualifier in. It is only for the rest of this year, but my goodness, it's a great night to sit around, smoke a pipe, fix a drink. It's like an early birthday gift to myself. I feel like the gods have given me an early birthday gift. It's not even the weekend yet. All right, the air just smells fresher now, doesn't it? Crisp, cool. I love it. Starting next Monday, Raw is going back to the 2-hour format for all of the remaining shows on USA Network. It will be from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, just so you know, not 9 to 11. So just be aware of that. Of course, like I said, only through the end of this year. Once they go to Netflix, it'll be 3 hours again, or 3-hour-ish. On Netflix, they'll have flexibility to pretty much make the show whatever they want it to be. But let's be honest here, Netflix did not pay WWE $5 billion to shave an hour off of what they are getting. So we shall enjoy it while it lasts. It was also the final Raw before Bad Blood, which is coming up this Saturday in Atlanta. Not a great night for the babyfaces here on this show. If you count them up, all the matches that were babyface versus heel. We actually had one match where it was babyface against babyface, so that doesn't count. But all the matches tonight, up until the main event, that had one against the other, the babyfaces went 0 for 4. So it was a very heel-heavy go-home show, go-home Raw, heading into Bad Blood. That one win, the babyfaces, came in the main event. And that main event tonight was Last Monster Standing. It is the WWE version of Godzilla versus Kong. There it is. You see it in the artwork there. That's what it was all about tonight. Braun Strowman, one-on-one with Bronson Reed. I got to give a shout out to my boy Steve. Steve Mello, you've heard me mention his name before. He hit me up earlier and says, notice something very interesting through the first few matches of this show. The ring posts. It's the old school ring post, which really, they have the same ring posts every week. They just usually have that casing, the LED casing around them. And there was no casing around the ring posts. And I wonder why that would be. That, coupled with the fact that they were closing the show with this match, basically gave away that they were going to break the ring. And that is exactly what they did. It just doesn't hit the same, though, does it? It does just that because we've seen it so many times before. It just doesn't hit the way that it used to. It's never going to be the way it was the first time you see it. Although there are ways to do it where it could come off well. And I will give them credit for one thing here. As far as going back to that tried and true idea, I thought the way they handled it and segued into what came after was well done. And it did get a reaction because, let's be honest, every time you collapse the ring, it's going to get a big reaction. Especially if you're there, in the building live. But what got an even bigger reaction than the ring collapsing was Seth Rollins running out and making his return. Seth Rollins makes his first appearance since Bronson Reed squashed him like a pancake with 7 tsunami splashes. He has not been seen since, other than at your Bears game, because Rollins has been all over the place at these football games. They've had footage of him recently. But there he was, and everybody went nuts for him, and he gave a stomp to Bronson Reed on the ring steps, which were already in the ring. He could not answer the 10 count. Braun Strowman did, and therefore Braun Strowman now goes 5-0 in last man standing matches. He was the last monster standing tonight, so I thought that was well done. And it was actually, the finish was fine. There was nothing wrong with the finish. Bronson Reed losing. Why did he lose? He lost because the man that he nearly killed came back for revenge. That's why. And that sounds like a perfectly sensible reason to me. The bigger question, what happens now? What happens once these two men meet? Who wins? Do they run it back? Is it one and done? We're going to talk about that later. That's the key question now. Not for Seth Rollins, because Rollins is going to be just fine. Rollins is going to be in a nice spot heading into Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. We know that. What about Bronson Reed? That's the question. They've done such a fucking great job of making this guy out to be a special attraction on this show now for the past couple of months. Why would you want to do anything to kill that? Why would you want to do anything to slow that momentum? You wouldn't. Or would they? I hope not. Because he's been one of the best parts, if not the best part of Raw now for the last couple of months. All summer, practically. And Braun Strowman, too. I got to give him a lot of credit. I called this like a side quest a couple of weeks ago because we always knew Rollins was going to come back and it was going to be Rollins and Reed. We knew that. So I kind of looked at Reed and Strowman as a little side quest in the meantime, killing time until Seth was ready to come back. But what these two went out there and did over all these weeks was, make these Raw segments some of the most fun on the entire show. Every single week they were trying to one-up each other. What could we come up with crazy for these two guys to do this week? Oh, I know. We'll go out to the parking lot and we'll have Bronson Reed jump off the ledge in the fucking parking lot onto a car. And then the week after that, we'll do something else that's crazy in the back. We'll build a fake wall and we'll have them go through this and go through that. So I've enjoyed the hell out of this. I'm kind of sad that it's over now, all the Monster Madness stuff. But what I do hope is that coming out of this, they can really take advantage of what they have created in Bronson Reed, who spent the majority of this year not really having much of a direction. Even when he was on the show, he wasn't really involved in anything consistent. So they have the chance here to really show people that, you know what, we have made a new star. We didn't just make a new star for the summer, but we really did make a new star on this show. So when people see him climb to the top rope, they react. They say, oh shit, I know what's coming next, right? That's special. And I don't want to see them squander that just because Seth freaking Rollins is back on TV. But I thought the ending of the show was well done. We also have the New Day story playing out more this week. I've talked about the New Day and everything they've been doing with them is the most interesting stuff that New Day has been involved in now in years. Will they or won't they? Are they going to split the New Day? The New Day is coming up on their 10-year anniversary together in November without a split. Can you imagine after almost 10 years, you're literally almost at the 10-year anniversary of the New Day forming and being together, and you break them up. After not breaking them up for almost 10 years, you break them up right before the anniversary. They're not going to do that, but they're certainly teasing it, which is smart because, again, it's more interesting to think that they might actually separate these two than anything they could do together. Tonight, we had a few more examples of drama between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. 4 segments. Technically, if you think about it, they got 4 segments on this show, and I'm including the one segment late in the show where you could just kind of see them arguing in the background. So they gave it a lot of time. The turn is already in motion, right? We just don't know it yet, unless you really pay close attention. It's already in motion. Whether or not they go full through with the whole thing at the end, that we don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they'll drag it out for many more months. We still haven't seen Big E yet. He's going to pop up at some point. But what they did tonight with the New Day I thought was good. We had Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, finally accepting the challenge of Sami Zayn, which you knew he would. It was only a matter of when, how's it all going to go down, when's the match going to take place. I actually was not really thrilled with the way that they pulled this off, and I'll talk about why. But we also now know the date for when these two are going to clash for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I will tell you when that's going to be. But unfortunately, there was some bad news involving Gunther. Gunther's okay. The World Champion, thankfully, is okay. His opponent, though, over the weekend is not. And they showed some footage from one of the WWE live events, one of the few live events that they do anymore. They're going to have fewer and fewer of them next year, but they had one this weekend. And they were in Columbus, Georgia. And Ilja Dragunov was injured in that match. I don't know what spot it was, exactly how it happened, but unfortunately, he has torn his ACL, or at least they believe that he has a torn ACL. I don't know if that's the official diagnosis or just what their belief is, and he's going to have tests done. But it sounds like He's got that torn ACL, and that means he's gone for at least 6 and as many as 9 months. I mean, that's the time frame they gave. That is the typical time frame for that injury. Not to say somebody can't come back in 5 months, but he's going to be gone for a long time. And look, there's never a good time to get hurt, and you hate to see it no matter when it happens. But in the case of Dragunov, there were some people wondering, and I don't know that I was one of those people who bought into the idea that he might win the Royal Rumble and he might go on to WrestleMania to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not going to tell you that there was no chance of that happening. I personally did not expect that to be the case. But if there was any possibility of him being involved in anything at WrestleMania, let alone a World Championship program with Gunther, that's out the window. Because I just don't see there being enough time for him to come back and for them to then build to something like that. We're heading into October. I mean, literally in 10 minutes, it's going to be October 1st. And this just happened over the weekend. So the timing for him absolutely fucking sucks. I feel badly for anybody who has to go through an injury like that, but hopefully everything will go well with the recovery, and he will be back better than ever. But yeah, the timing, not ideal for Ilja Dragunov on that. So we got a lot to talk about here. There's a lot going on this show tonight. This is your Monday Night Raw review. It is September 30th, 2024. I am the Solomonster wearing blue. Usually I wear red, but tonight it just felt, you gotta go with the blue and orange. You know what I mean? You gotta go with the blue and orange. I understand they had a doubleheader today with the Atlanta Braves. And I felt so sorry for all the Braves fans in that first game when we beat them. But the second game they lost, so they split the doubleheader. It didn't matter because all we had to do was win game 1 and boom, we're in the playoffs. It would have been pretty sweet, though, to just beat the Braves so that they just go home. But, you got to rest your starters. We got a game tomorrow. You want to make sure you got your best guns healthy and ready to go. But, boy, it would have been sweet to just bounce the Braves out of there, right? Chop on. Chop on, is that what they do? All right, my gloating is done. I'm a Mets fan. I don't know why I'm gloating. I know exactly where this is headed, but you got to give me a few minutes here just to enjoy. These moments are fleeting. They don't last long usually. I know this, okay? I'm conditioned to it, so just let me be happy for just a little smidge of time, please. Hit that like button if you have not already done so. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here or if you are a lurker. Super chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen. There you go. There you go. I was waiting for that. Thank you, Iceman, and everybody else who has dropped the dono so far. I appreciate it very much. I do want to give you guys a heads up on one thing, and that one thing is that tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern.
Look at Richie Rich over here
dropping
all this money on me. Hey. I just want you to know.
You interrupted my plug.
You rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Uffman Entertainment. I know that Uffman is celebrating with me today as well. I know Uffman's in a good mood also. Uffman, thank you for the $100 Super Chat bomb. And I have to read Uffman's Super Chat here. It says on June 2nd, the Mets were 24-35, and their playoff odds reached a season high. What does that say? Wooings. Then Grimace threw the first pitch, and today the Mets clinched a playoff spot. Let's go Mets for Grimace. Grimace is our good luck charm, man. And to think I didn't even know what Grimace was. To be honest with you, I still don't know what Grimace is supposed to be, but I don't give a fuck. He's our good luck charm. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, my full Vince McMahon Netflix documentary review will be hitting the YouTube channel. So you can listen to it right now. It's up on episode 881 of The Sound Off, but it will hit the YouTube channel at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. I appreciate all the positive feedback that I've gotten on it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from you guys. Put a lot of time and effort into that one. Not to say nothing of the 6 hours I spent watching that. That kind of felt like a waste. But We're going to go through the entire documentary, the good, the bad, the ugly, what I thought about the documentary, but also the moments that did genuinely surprise me, good or bad. There were some moments like that. So again, that will be up on the channel tomorrow at 11. So keep your eye out for that. I also saw some sad news. There have been a bunch of celebrity names floating around over the last couple of days that have passed away. I saw that Chris Christopherson passed away, the actor slash singer. He's a very interesting personality because he's someone who really reached great heights musically, but also theatrically. He's been in a lot of things over these many decades. And also a Rhodes Scholar, which I did not know. And not part of the tag team, but an actual Rhodes Scholar. So Chris Christopherson passed away. I believe he was 88. Dikembe Mutombo, former NBA star. I know he was dealing with brain cancer the last couple of years. He passed away at the age of 58. And then, of course, a few hours before the show tonight came the news that Pete Rose, the all-time baseball hits king, passed away at the age of 83. And I bring up Pete Rose because there's a tie-in, obviously, to wrestling. He was the first celebrity inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame, the only Hall of Fame that he is in, by the way. He is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but he is in the WWE Hall of Fame. And he made many memorable appearances, not the least of which was the first one at WrestleMania 14, where he got dropped on his head by Kane. And then, of course, he got all dressed up in a chicken costume the following year, got dumped on his head again. He took a stink face from Rikishi. He was part of some memorable segments, but none better than that WrestleMania 14 moment in Boston, where he was the ultimate heel in Boston that night. But and also a very controversial figure, and not necessarily for the best of reasons. But I did want to mention that Pete Rose did pass away. So now that you're all brought up to speed, we can talk about this Raw show here. Because Raw opened with Joe Tessitore. That's what I wanted to mention, actually, before we go any further. I want to give flowers to Joe Tessitore because this was only week 3, I think, 3 or 4, that he... Well, actually, no, he started on September 2nd. So it's been about a month now. And Tessitore had a rocky first night, I thought. Not that he was even bad, but he just wasn't very animated at moments where you would expect the announcer to be animated. And it was noticeable. He was quiet, very kind of timid at times. And he has adjusted very well. In fact, he adjusted very well within a week, which was not surprising because you could see the first week and you could see that there was promise there. But now that we're a month into the Joe Tessitore experiment, I think they found their man. We didn't know how it was going to turn out for sure, right? Tessitore is a great sports commentator. He's been in that world for many years. He's a total pro. But we see how things worked out with all the other people that they've tried from the sports world, whether it was Adnan Virk or Jimmy Smith or Kevin Patrick. It was this sort of revolving door. But Tessitore has adjusted very nicely. And I thought he did a great job on the main event in particular and the ending of the show. I thought that he really knocked it out of the park. So he's going to be on Raw through the end of this year, and then the plan is for him to bounce over to SmackDown on USA on Fridays, probably with Corey Graves and Wade Barrett. I believe they're going to be a 3-man crew, so that should be fine too. But so far, so good with Joe Tessitore, and I just wanted to mention that because, again, we critique the first night and maybe the second week. But then, if you kind of get used to the person, you don't necessarily follow up with a positive report. If you just kind of get used to them, you just kind of blend into the background. But it was very noticeable, I thought, the job he did tonight. But he was in the ring at the beginning with Wade Barrett. Barrett told the fans to enjoy the arena because it would not be the same after tonight's last monster standing match, which was the main event of the show. And oh my goodness, I just noticed out of the corner of my eye that we got another bomb from Aaron Ruggiero.
Look at Richie
there it is.
Rich over here dropping all
right
this
on
money
cue.
on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock.
Holy
A-Rock,
shit.
You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Aaron Ruggiero with the $100 bomb. Ah, look at Sami Zayn. This is perfect timing. Sami Zayn was so happy to see the bomb go off. That one, by the way, is for Uffman as well, because I didn't hit it for Uffman, but thank you both. But Aaron, thank you, man, for the $100 super chat bomb. Yours I will be reading in a little bit, so don't go nowhere. I'll be reading all of your messages, so you're going to want to stick around for that. But they went into a recap of the main event from last week's show, which was for the Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker against Jey Uso, where Jey Uso won the championship, his first singles title in WWE. And that set up here the real open of the show, which was our new Intercontinental Champion walking on the concourse with the fans behind him, and he had his son with him. And he kissed his son on the head before making his way out through the crowd. And the first thing I noticed, and I know many of you did too, when Jey Uso got into the ring, he had that Intercontinental title draped over his shoulders. The first thing I noticed, I had a big smile on my face because they added color to the championship. Yes, indeed. The Intercontinental title is already up for sale, by the way, the new one, on WWE Shop for about $400. They added blue to the globes. There's one little globe in the middle and then a globe on either side of the center medallion, and they added blue to the belt. And look how much better that belt looks with the blue in it. I told you. All it needed was some blue. I'm not saying it's better than the old Intercontinental title, because it's not, but all it needed was a little bit of blue. It gives it some character. It just makes a world of difference. Like, just objectively, the belt just looks better now. So that's the first thing I noticed, and I was very happy to see that. And again, if you want to buy it, you got $400 or $500 to drop, well, you can drop it here. But if you don't want to drop it here, you can drop it on that Intercontinental title. Buy myself a birthday gift there if I had room. I only have room for 2 belts here on the wall behind me. So Jey said that he would fight every week for this title. He would fight anybody who wants to take it from him. He told the fans that he appreciated and loved them. He thanked them for having his back all these years. He said it was special for him to walk to the ring with his son. Now, his son didn't actually come to the ring with him, but he said it was special for him to be able to bring his son to the show and have him there with him tonight. He said he was always just a twin, and people didn't really know who he was, but they know him now. He said his biggest fan, though, is his mother. And he spoke to her, and she told him to go out and get it. And he said, I got it, and Mama, we did it. Braun Breaker came out and joined Jey inside the ring. Breaker said that he wasn't here to spoil the fun. He wasn't here to crash the party. He was there because of the respect that he has for that championship. He said the lineage of that title goes back a long way. And he said that Jey was the better man last Monday. He said he's not going to spear him. He's not going to attack him. He just felt that he should be the first person to come out and congratulate him. And Breaker offered a handshake, and understandably, Jey Uso was a little apprehensive. But he did accept the handshake, and then Braun went to go leave, and Jey stopped him and said, there's some dogs in Indiana, Us. Now, I didn't look out into the crowd. I didn't get a good shot of everybody that was sitting out in the audience, and perhaps there were some dogs in Indiana. I don't know what the dating scene is over there, but everybody started barking, and Braun Breaker cracked a smile, and then he left, and that was the end of that. I thought that this was a very strange segment, and the reason that it was strange, now maybe he was just legitimately emotional. You know, his son was there, winning his first singles championship, the great reaction he got when he came out. Maybe he was just legitimately overwhelmed. It just struck me that in the middle of this promo, it felt like he forgot his lines. Like he forgot what he was supposed to say, because he was just sort of meandering. There was just this like long period of like dead air where he wasn't saying anything. It was almost like he was trying, you can't see because he got the shades on, like this look of panic that he maybe had on his face, but I think he may have just forgotten his lines. So it just made for a very awkward promo because he was silent for just an uncomfortable period of time. Then, of course, we had Braun Breaker coming out and paying respect to him, even though he's been a heel. And you expect him to go out there and just fucking murder this guy. And he didn't do that. You know, he didn't do that. He came out there and he legitimately just paid respect to him. And now, of course, now I'm thinking, well, we got 2 hours and 45 minutes left in the show. Surely at some point he's going to come back out. Something's going to happen in the back. He's going to attack him. No. We did see Braun Breaker one more time later in the show, but it was to confront Gunther in a backstage segment. There was no further interaction, and it doesn't appear that there's going to be another match anytime soon between Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, which is very interesting. So I'm happy that Jey got that moment, not only last week, but just with his son this week. I thought that was cool, but I didn't think this was the best segment.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh, look who's joined.
Jerry Lawler
Look
loves
who's joined
Gunther,
us.
the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
All hail the mighty Gunther. You think Gunther smokes a good pipe? He probably does, right? He probably sits in his lounge chair, stroking his cat. Remember Inspector Gadget? Dr. Claw? He's got a pipe in his hand. It's my grandfather's pipe, I want you to know. This pipe goes back in this family legitimately like 60 or 70 years, okay? So, anyway, who was that? That was Jake. That was Jake Jones, Jake the Snake. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Jake Jones, man. Love seeing Jake. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you for the love. Thank you all for the love. We're going to have some fun with these super chats later. Hopefully, we'll also break our goal. We missed Be the Booker on Friday. It's up to you guys to make sure that don't happen again tonight. It's a good day. We need to make sure we get a good Be the Booker in, so hit that like button. Footage aired from earlier in the day, of Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan. They were banging out. They were hanging out. Maybe they were banging, I don't know. They were hanging out by Dom's lowrider out in the parking lot. Dom suddenly got a phone call from Finn Balor, so he put it on speaker. And Balor told him, look, he was having travel problems. He's not there yet. He's trying to make it. Balor said Dom could tell Liv that the business is taken care of. JD McDonough and Carlito showed up and asked if they could go inside because it was hot outside. Was it really that hot where they were in Indiana? It was a cool 70 today. Like the weather here was like New York weather this time of year is just perfect. Like I can't speak to other parts of the country, and we know what's going on, unfortunately, in the southeastern part of the country right now, which is very unfortunate. But up in this area here, like this period in September into the beginning of October is like the best weather period all year. So I'm enjoying it. I don't know how long it's going to last for, but I'm enjoying it. We had Rey Mysterio one-on-one against Xavier Woods. First time ever match, babyface against current babyface, but maybe not for much longer, Xavier Woods. Rey hit an Asai moonsault on Woods to the floor and then rolled him back inside. Then he went up top, hit a seated senton and a springboard crossbody block for a 2 count. Rey went for the 619, Woods ducked, and you could actually see Rey fiddling around with the strap underneath the mask like he was trying to loosen it up. He went for the 619, and Woods avoided it. He went to go lift up Rey, and the idea was that Rey would fall back, kind of off his shoulders, and he would have Woods in like a scorpion death drop position. But he landed awkwardly. They fell over and they fell down, but they got back up. And when they got up, Woods is in this position where he's about to be, again, I don't know what Rey was actually supposed to do. He wasn't supposed to do anything because that wasn't the spot. Woods reaches up with his hands and he rips the mask off because he's like fumbling around with Rey's head and he swipes the mask right off of his head. And you could briefly see Rey's face, and then he quickly covered his face with his hands. Wood has the mask now. He has the mask in his hand, and he has a shocked look on his face. Like he can't believe that just happened, and he didn't mean to do that. But then he sneaks up behind Rey, rolls him up, and he pins him. I like the finish because, and this plays into everything that we saw with Xavier Woods, including what would happen later on in the Kofi Kingston match, where you really don't know if that was intentional or not, right? He'll tell you it wasn't, and he played it off like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I'm sorry. I just took advantage of the situation. Is he telling the truth or is he bullshitting us? That's what they want you to think. You don't know. That's the beauty of it. So the match itself was actually a little disappointing, to be honest with you, because I think if you put these two in the ring together and really give them time to have a great wrestling match, these two are capable of having a great wrestling match. This was okay. It was actually a little clumsy at times, but the match itself wasn't the point. The point was the finish because of this ongoing story with Xavier Woods. So I liked the story. The match, disappointing. So in the back after, Kofi Kingston asked Woods if he intentionally did that, where he removed Rey's mask on purpose. And Woods got defensive and he said that he would never do anything like that. You know, Rey's a friend, he's a legend, and I would never do anything like that. So Kofi then informed him that Jey Uso had offered Kofi a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. And Woods said that, he would be by Kofi's side when he climbs the mountain again, but he said it in such a way like, yeah, of course, like, you're getting the shot, almost like he overshadowed his big win just now. Like, yeah, okay, you're going to get a shot at the title. Of course, you're going to get a shot at the title. Like, it was kind of said in that way. But Kofi said, no, actually, I turned it down and I told Jey that you deserve the shot at the title, not me. And Woods was obviously elated by that. And then he also said that he wanted to be in Kofi's corner later for his match with Chad Gable. Again, you can kind of see where this story is going. They could always swerve us and take it, in a totally different direction. But you could see where this story is headed. And I like in this segment, lurking in the background the entire time, just, peeping in the background, is Karrion Kross. Because he's the one who really planted the seed for this in the first place. So there he was, watching his handiwork. They didn't realize he was there, and then he disappeared out of the shot. We had Lyra Valkyria, one-on-one with Zoey Stark, representing the Pure Fusion Garbage Collective. Valkyria rolled Stark up and had her pinned, but the referee was distracted by Shayna Baszler, who was outside the ring. So was Sonya Deville. Deville hit Valkyria with a knee strike on the apron, and then Zoey followed with her Z360 finish and got the pin. And the crowd goes mild for this match. These people could not give two shits. They just didn't care. Speaking of not caring, after the match, Lyra's in there all by herself because they mentioned that Natty wasn't there, Zelina Vega wasn't there, so she had no backup. Here come Caden Carter and Katana Chance to no reaction. No music and no reaction. I'm not sure they would have gotten much of a reaction even if their music had played. But they come running out to the ring to help out Lyra, since Lyra had no backup. Carter and Chance hit their keg stand finish on Deville and Baszler. They were laid out right next to one another. Now, after this, in the back, Katana Chance, she had a face mask on. And the reason that she had a face mask on, and I'm not sure if she is legitimately hurt or not, I'm going to assume not, but, I shouldn't assume that. Maybe she does have a broken nose. She says she has a broken nose. That's why she's got the face mask on. And she told Jackie Redmond they're out for revenge on the Pure Fusion Collective. They were planning on going after the tag team titles next. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire showed up to tell them that you're not going to cut the line. And Caden Carter and Katana Chance, they were very upset by this for some reason. Like, absurdly upset. And Katana Chance in particular just started screaming at the top, just screaming at them at the top of her lungs. So I guess when you get your nose broken, you just get very upset. Either that or the doctor has got to lower the dose on her medication. I don't know which one it is, but it was almost like they were overdoing it on how angry they were. And it's just funny when I look at Katana Chance and she's trying to be, she's trying to be like a tough girl and be all mean, but she's like, come on, she's like fucking 80 pounds. I mean, come on. She's cute. She's cute and she's 80 pounds. And I'm sorry, like, what is she going to do to these women? What is she going to do to these women? There is nothing intimidating about Katana Chance. I'm sorry. I know she was on American Ninja Warrior. She's very athletically gifted. So maybe she could, she can crawl away from them in like a weird way. Maybe she could escape. But like, what is she going to do? Maybe she can headbutt them with her face mask. Maybe she could do that. She could break their nose. We got a video package promoting the Last Monster Standing match for later tonight. And Matthew wants to know, who is smaller, Riho or Katana Chance? I don't know. I was going to say Riho, but I'm actually not sure. Riho's another one. I mean, Riho's a very good wrestler, but I mean, come on. I can't take that seriously. Riho and Yuka Sakazaki, and give me a fucking break. Give me a break. So anyway, video package for tonight's main event. In the back, Adam Pearce is informing security, all of these security geeks, that he wants the match to stay in the ring. Now, let me ask you a question. If you have a match that you wanted to make sure this match stays in the ring, right? That's your primary objective. I don't want them to go around and destroy the place. I want them to stay in the ring. Then why the fuck would you make this a last man standing match? Why wouldn't you put them in a cage? Even if you think the cage may end up not being able to contain them, you put them in a cage. If that's your primary objective. And you know what the funny thing is? Tonight was the first time for all these weeks of these matches that either, had no finish or didn't even start, and they're brawling all over the building every single fucking week. Tonight was the first time they didn't really brawl anywhere but the general ringside area. I mean, they went down to the stage and they were off to the side, and then they brought it back to the ring, and they pretty much, for the most part, stayed around the ringside area tonight. But my God, I mean, if you want to make sure these guys stay in the ring, then you put them in a cage. They literally had Hell in a Cell there. I know why they didn't use it. I'm just saying, it's just hilarious to me. You had Hell in a Cell hanging above the ring tonight, and you're worried that these men are going to brawl all over the building. Just common sense, Common sense. Cage is right there. As Adam Pearce is talking to all of the security people, CM Punk goes walking by. He's wearing his old school white best in the world shirt with the sleeves cut off. And he was on his way to the ring for the next segment. Out in the arena now, after the commercial break, Adam Pearce has migrated. And he has migrated from the backstage area to the ring. And behind him, all lined up next to each other, is the army of security geeks. And he brought the Cell with him. So they played that ominous music, and they lowered the Hell in a Cell. And yes, for those wondering, it is the silver cell. It is not the red cell. I don't understand why I see people on social media, and even some people in this chat, okay, before I went live, thank God it's not the red cell. Oh, I thought we were going to get the red cell. Why? We have not had the red cell in like 3 years. 4 years, something like that. Like, the last few Hell in a Cell matches we had were back in the silver cell. WrestleMania 38, Edge and Balor was in the silver cell. I'm pretty sure Rollins and Edge also was in the old school Hell in a Cell color. So they stopped using the red cell a long time ago because it was an eyesore and it sucked. And they knew it. I don't know why they ever thought that was good to film on TV anyway. It's like that old red cage that TNA used to have. What a fucking eyesore that thing was. Just like visually, just watching it on TV, it's like, oh my God. Like, why would you think that's a good idea? But then again, why am I asking this question? We're talking about a product that had a guy sitting in the production truck who did 35 fucking camera cuts every 10 seconds. I'm not surprised. But no, the red cell is dead. They have reverted back long ago to the traditional looking cell. Although I will say there was something different about this one. And I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is. Now, the cell, it looks as tall as it's usually been. It's a very tall cage. I don't know if they just brought the dimensions in a little bit around the ringside area or if it was the color. I think it was the color. It was definitely darker. Like maybe they gave it a new paint job. It looked more gray than silver. But the most important thing is it's not red. So that's really all that matters. Punk was introduced to the ring first, followed by McIntyre. Adam Pearce also promised no physicality, and the crowd booed. I mean, come to a wrestling show and you hear no physicality, I would boo too. So McIntyre was decked out in a black tuxedo. He spoke first. He said the reason that he's wearing all black is out of respect for Punk's wife. After Bad Blood, she's going to have to feed him. She's going to have to bathe him. Hell, she's probably going to leave him. He said that he was wearing a tux because for the rest of the world, rather, there's going to be a celebration when Punk is gone, and he's not going to come back this time. He's been back for a year and was injured 4 months. Actually, now that how long was Punk technically out for? Because he got hurt in January. So we have February, March, April, May, June. I guess technically he was cleared at the end of July. So I'm not sure, now that I think about it, I'm not sure if he was specifically saying 4 months or he may have just been saying he was injured for months. I see when I heard it, I literally thought he meant 4 months. I'm like, I thought he was out 5. But you know what? That wasn't too far off. You know, there were people who thought Punk would be gone for 6 months or more. All things considered, he made it back fairly quickly, you know, at his age from an injury like that. But yeah, he was injured for months, and he's going to be gone forever, and it's all going to be thanks to one man, and that man is Drew McIntyre. He said the fans have been listening to him for the last 10 months, and even with all the evidence that he has presented to them, they still come to these shows, and they chant this man's name. And right on cue, the fans lapsed into a CM Punk chant. He brought up Roxanne Perez from NXT, who is defending her NXT Women's Championship tomorrow night against Julia. But he brought up Roxanne and the fact that she idolized CM Punk. I mean, she was like his biggest fan. But then after spending a few days with him, she realized what kind of a person he really is. He said, eventually, the fans will have to look in the mirror and realize who the idiots are around here. Punk hates him, and he hates Punk. Punk taught him how to hate. He says, there was a time in his life where he had no time for hate. Only love, like me. I don't have time for hate. I only have time for love. Unless you're a Braves fan. But otherwise, I only have time for love. But Punk taught him how powerful a weapon hate can be. This Saturday, that hate will die with Punk. McIntyre dropped the mic. He went to go leave. Adam Pearce picked the microphone up. He tossed it over to CM Punk. And he finally spoke very, very quietly. There was no screaming here. Punk, it was almost like you want to lean in to listen to what he was saying. And Punk said throughout his career, people have called him a lot of things. Best in the world, Second City Saint, voice of the voiceless, asshole, I would imagine is what probably some people in AEW that are now currently under NDAs probably said to him in the back. But he's been called a lot of things in his career. That's the point. And he goes, tonight he is voiceless because he has nothing to say to a piece of garbage like Drew McIntyre because he is filled with so much rage when he looks at this man. He can't go home. He's living in a hotel, he says, for the last 4 weeks because he will not subject his wife to the man that all of this has turned him into. He says, Drew, you son of a bitch, you've turned me into this fictitious boogeyman that his harshest critics have accused him of being. And that's exactly what he has to be on Saturday to send Drew back home to Scotland in a box. He wants him to remember and never forget that he prayed for all of this, and it happened. And Saturday, when Drew is locked inside the cell with him, and he's taken everything from him, on his hands and knees, crawling and begging, he will look up, and Punk will wipe the blood from McIntyre's eyes so he could see him. And it's not a god that he's praying to. It's not the devil he's praying to. Drew will be praying to CM Punk. And he tells Drew that he will see him in hell, and he tossed the microphone. Ladies and germs, this right here is your main event. This right here is the match that should headline the show and close the show out in Atlanta on Saturday. I don't know that it will, but it should. This is a match that has been building up for the entire year. This is a match. You have two men. First of all, let's talk about this segment here, okay? This right here is how you do a go-home segment. There was nothing left for these two men to say. They have exhausted everything they could possibly do. We've seen blindside attacks. We've seen blood, right? We've seen CM Punk bleed and be carried off on a stretcher. We've had bracelets, and Seth Rollins got involved in the feud at one point. We've had fucking strap matches and all kinds of shit that these two have done to each other. How many times Punk has cost McIntyre the World Heavyweight Championship, right? Twice. All the things they've said, all the trolling on social media, which McIntyre... I should point out, earlier today, I think it was earlier today, WWE posted a video on its YouTube channel because Larry the Dog was at Raw last week. He was a big hit. Punk brought him to the show, and he had him in a little carriage that he was wheeling him around in. So on their YouTube channel, they put up like a 3.5-minute video of Punk and Larry, and Punk talking about Larry, and he got Larry about 10 years ago. He was a rescue. Apparently Larry, and I think I knew this, but Larry, not only was he a rescue from a shelter, but Larry had been returned by like 3 different owners. And Punk said as soon as he saw him, he knew this is my guy. Right? He fell in love with him. He called him Larry because he kind of looks like Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, which he kind of does actually. They have a side by side between Larry the Dog and Larry Talbot, from the movies. And you can see the resemblance. That's why he's Larry the Dog. So anyway, it's a really nice video, but WWE tweets a link out to it. And so what does Drew McIntyre do? He responds with a clip from a movie, and maybe you guys can fill me in here, because I don't think I ever saw this movie. But it's got Jack Black in it, where he kicks a dog, like he punts the dog, like over a bridge. Like you hear it hits the water. That's the clip that Drew McIntyre posted. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, wait a minute, what movie is this from? I don't think I ever saw this movie. Kevin Dunsbeaver, how dare you? He says Solomonster would return Larry. Solomonster would not bring Larry home in the first place because Solomonster would be allergic to Larry. That's number one. I don't think Larry is hypoallergenic. Was it Anchorman? Really? Oh, okay. It was Anchorman. How did I not know that? That's right. Because Will Ferrell's in the same clip. Okay. Well, I should have known that. But that's the clip that this fucking guy posts. So, like, the social media trolling has been going on all year, and it's been top tier. And McIntyre has gotten really fucking good at it. But we just get to a point where everything that can possibly be said has been said. So you think, what could they do tonight? And then they go out there and they give us a segment like this, which I thought was, not only was it great, this was one of the best Punk promos that we've had since he came back to the company last year. Now, I'm not going to say it was better than the segment earlier this year where we had Rollins and Punk and McIntyre all together at ringside. That's a hard one to top. But I do think this was one of Punk's, better promos. And, look at what they did here. They have promised to make each other bleed. They have promised to basically kill each other. You had Punk here in this promo. I'm going to send you back home in a box. Now, the death threats are silly because you don't promise something that you're not going to deliver on. And obviously, they're not going to deliver on that. So I think that stuff is a little too over the top. You could easily go out there and say, look, I'm going to end your career. I'm going to cripple you, and I'm going to make it so that you never wrestle again. You will never again be able to get medically cleared to get back in the ring when I'm done with you. And you're going to have to watch me continue my career. You're going to have to watch me go and win the World Heavyweight Championship that you couldn't hold on to. You're going to have to go watch me headline WrestleMania, right? That would be a perfectly logical promo, as opposed to, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to send you home in a box. It's like, really? Okay. And when you don't, I'm going to call you a liar. But this is what these guys are doing. Like, this is a blood feud. They have promised to make each other bleed. How do you not headline with this match? That's why I say this is your main event on Saturday. I understand that the other match has the two biggest baby faces, the two biggest stars in the entire company. I get that. And it may well close the show if they're going to do some kind of big heel turn or some kind of major angle. But I thought they went out there and they knocked it out of the park. I really do. And the other thing that struck me is this is the kind of segment that we needed between Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness going into that Grand Slam show last week, minus the death threats. Take that out of the equation. Just get them together in a ring, one segment, no physicality, just like this one, and you let them go out there and do their thing. And that was my complaint the whole time. That was the one glaring thing that was missing in the lead up to that match. But I'm glad we got it here. I thought that this was great stuff. Kathy Kelly was in the back, and she was there to interview Braun Strowman. She asked if he was feeling trepidatious at all. And Strowman said he didn't even know what trepidatious meant. And the crowd laughed at him. But he said he was not nervous. He would show the world that he was the monster of monsters when he won tonight. Miz approached Strowman to talk to him about interrupting his match last week with Bronson Reed when R-Truth interrupted him. We haven't seen R-Truth in a while, since he got squashed by Bronson Reed. Strowman was surprised to see him after getting 5 tsunamis. And Truth had no memory of that. Strowman left to go get ready for his match. Miz asked Truth, what are you doing here? And Truth said, I work here. And he also didn't like the way Karrion Kross was speaking to him, and he got them a tag team match tonight. He got them booked against AOP. And Miz wasn't sure who that was until he realized he was referring to AOP. AOP. I like AOPP better. Remember AOPP? Vince McMahon. AOPP. Something about this guy with bodily functions. I really don't get it. I don't get it, right? He's a weird fucking guy. As you'll hear, if you haven't already heard my review of the documentary, you'll get to hear it on the YouTube channel tomorrow at 11 a.m. He's a weird fucking guy. Later on, Kathy Kelly did an interview with Sami Zayn, also in the back. He said that he wasn't necessarily bothered by Gunther's many rejections of his challenge to a match for the World Heavyweight Championship, but what bothers him is the disrespect. He said it hit a sore spot hearing Gunther say that he wasn't on his level. He didn't lose sleep over it, though, because he knows how good he is, and he knows he's good enough to become world champion. So Gunther can keep running and ducking his challenges, but he's not going away that easily. He won't stop until he gets his shot. And we would see him on the show again a little bit later on. Next up, it was the Judgment Day. Dominik Mysterio, Carlito, and JD McDonough against the LWO. Cruz del Toro. Top rope cross body block on McDonough in the opening minute of this match. Joaquin Wilde tagged in with the babyfaces hitting top rope dives on the heels, and then Wilde capped it off with a 450 splash on Carlito for a near fall. A 450 splash off the top rope is only good enough for a near fall on Carlito. That's just wild to me. I'm sorry. Have you seen the way Carlito has been booked since he came back? A 450 splash is not enough to put this man away. I feel like if you just tossed a banana peel in the ring and he slipped, it would be enough to put him away. A 450 splash, not enough. That just took us into the commercial break. So later on, the LWO hit dives from the ring onto the heels outside. Liv Morgan distracted the referee when Joaquin Wilde went up top. When Finn Balor showed up, He wasn't even supposed to be there. And he shoved Wilde off the top rope. McDonough then hit Wilde with his Devil Inside finish and got the pin. So they went to a commercial. When they came back the Judgment Day, they were still in the ring celebrating their win. Balor said that Damian Priest threatened to rip out his heart, but he didn't have a heart. And he said that he would prove that Damian was the only one who needed them. It wasn't the other way around. He needed the Judgment Day, and he needed Finn Balor. Judgment Day never needed him. Liv Morgan said that she would prove that she was a home-wrecking, man-stealing, heart-breaking, title-taking, greatest women's champion of all time. Rhea Ripley interrupted. She had some stagehands bring out the shark cage that Dominik will be suspended in on Saturday. And she said that she knew all of Dom's dirty secrets, including that he is extremely claustrophobic. When he was locked inside the shark cage, crying and soiling himself, Vince loved that, he would have the best seat in the house to watch his girlfriend realize that she was not as good as Rhea. So as she's speaking, you could hear the crowd is like coming alive for something, and sure enough, behind them, they don't know it yet, but Damian Priest has appeared. He is standing behind them in the ring. He dispatched McDonough. He dispatched Carlito. Now he goes after Finn Balor. Meanwhile, Rhea Ripley sneaks up behind Liv Morgan and Dom and tosses them into the barricade. Ripley was about to lock Dominik inside the shark cage, but Morgan attacked her. The numbers caught up to Damian Priest inside the ring. Balor took him down with a sling blade, and then he hit. Not only did he drop kick him, but then he hit 3 straight double stomps to Damian Priest. And the Judgment Day stands tall here at the end of this segment. The heels are looking good going into Saturday, which has me a little worried for my predictions. If you missed my bad blood predictions on the podcast this weekend, they're up on the channel now. You can find them there. I am not one who thinks that Liv Morgan is going to lose her championship on Saturday. But given how the Judgment Day went over so strong tonight, now, I don't know. I'm going to stick with my picks, but I'm not feeling as good about it as I did before. Sheamus, we had a pre-tape promo from Sheamus. Cut a promo on Pete Dunne, who he called Butch, called him the loser weight. Sheamus knew that Dunne was dangerous, so if he wants to play tough, then they should have one final banger. Sheamus offered Dunne to bring whatever gimmick he wanted for a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. I remember the good old-fashioned Donnybrook on SmackDown with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. As I recall, I believe they fought into the parking lot that night. We had Kofi Kingston with Xavier Woods in his corner against Chad Gable, with the Creeds and Ivy Nile in his. Gable had a small bloody cut on his forehead. I don't know how it got there. I didn't see how it happened, but it was there. Gable blocked the Trouble in Paradise and applied an ankle lock, but Kingston countered out of it. Kofi connected with an SOS, but Gable got a rope break at 2. And Gable left the ring, so Kingston wiped out Gable and the Creeds with a splash. Woods also attacked Julius Creed. Ivy Nile now is distracting the referee. And I have to say, there were way too many instances tonight of this. This whole referee distraction shit. Once or twice, I mean, fucking 3, 4, 5 times. What the hell's going on here? Okay, come on. It's like SummerSlam. SummerSlam, I think every single match, I think but one, had some kind of interference of some kind. And it fit the story in some of the matches, but like when you look back, you're like, wait a minute, I think almost the entire card had that. It's just dumb. I mean, you don't want to overdo stuff like that. It's lazy. Too many instances of this on this show. So the referee is distracted. I mean, come on. I mean, they're going to make them look like AEW referees if they keep going down this road. But it was Xavier Woods who took advantage of the distraction by tripping Chad Gable, or at least he thought he was taking advantage of the distraction. The problem is, Kofi Kingston, after I think he had whipped Gable into the ropes, he shot him in. He was about to hit Trouble in Paradise. But there was no Chad Gable. And the reason there was no Chad Gable is because Xavier Woods grabbed his ankle. So Kofi Kingston ended up crashing to the mat. And Woods on the outside, again, he seemed remorseful. Is he really? I don't know. But he seemed like he didn't mean to do that. Oh my God, I can't believe what happened. So the chaos theory followed. Stalling German suplex. And Kofi Kingston gets pinned by Chad Gable. Look at that. Another win for American Made. They're on a roll. I think that's 2 in a row for these guys. It's about time they start winning matches. After the match, Woods was pleading with a very dejected Kofi that he made a mistake. And I like what they're doing with this New Day story. It just makes you think, is he being genuine or not? I don't think he is. I don't think he's being genuine, and we'll come to find that out. But you don't know for sure. So they showed highlights of some of the wrestlers at various football games over the weekend, mostly NFL. I think Sheamus maybe was at the Notre Dame game. Jackie Redmond interview, so I should just mention on that point, Seth Rollins was one of those people. It had to be the Bears game, right? Who the Bears play? The Bears play the Ravens? I think the Bears play the Ravens. He's a big Bears fan. So they cut back to Jackie Redmond, who's in the back, to interview Bronson Reed, one half of our main event tonight. She asked if Seth Rollins' eventual return will be a distraction for Reed tonight. And Reed said no. He wanted Rollins to return. He took months off of Rollins' career, and next time he would take years off of his life. This, my friends, is what you call foreshadowing. Wow, so he was not at the Bears game. The Bears played the Rams. He was at the Ravens and the Bills. Interesting. Why the hell would he have been at that game? Well, maybe WWE sent him. It's like he's betraying the Bears. He's such a big Bears fan. I'm surprised by that. It'd be like me going to a Yankee game. The fuck would I be doing there? I haven't even been to the new Yankee Stadium. Come to think of it, I don't think I've actually been to the new stadium. I'm a Mets guy. What can I say? We got a Wyatt Sicks video. The latest VHS. I'm going to read to you what the text was. We see your intent, anger festering into rage. Do not go down this path. It ends in your demise. You know better. Do not force our hand. Heed our admonition. Okay. The last shot, though, of the video is very fleeting. But the last shot, some people online thought maybe it was Alexa Bliss. It was not Alexa Bliss. It was Nikki Cross. It was very clearly Nikki Cross. But it also came with a new QR code. And that QR code leads to a page that says, you refuse salvation. Do not force our hand. The reckoning is here. Clicking on the do not force our hand message takes you to a YouTube video, WWE's YouTube channel, showing Uncle Howdy's return from June. The other image on the page takes you to Bray Wyatt's return at Extreme Rules back in 2022. So make of that what you will. I've stopped trying to figure out what all of this means. But I will tell you that Mike Johnson on PW Insider did have a report earlier last week that Alexa Bliss not scheduled to return to WWE anytime soon. There are apparently no current, upcoming plans in the near future for her to come back or do anything. Certainly not this year. So it doesn't seem like any of this is referring to her. Doesn't mean that she won't be a part of this in some way, but at this moment, as far as, the rest of 2024, I would not expect to see her on WWE television. Up next was our esteemed World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther himself, comes out to the ring. And he says that he loves every aspect of being the world champion. He loves being the top guy. He loves the money. He loves the luxuries. But there was one thing that he hated about his life right now, and it was having to deal with Sami Zayn every single week. That brought out Sami Zayn. he asked, or he said that if he was so annoying, there was one way to put an end to all that. All Gunther had to do was accept his challenge and put the World Heavyweight Championship on the line against him. He said he wanted Gunther to tell the world why he wouldn't do it. And Gunther said that Sami was not on his level. Sami asked why he was the one then to beat him at WrestleMania if he's not on his level. Gunther beat former champions and Hall of Famers, but it was Sami Zayn who pinned him. And Gunther thought that he was so much better than Zayn, and that result drove him crazy. And Gunther was scared that it would happen again. That's why he thinks he's not accepting his challenge. So Gunther admitted that, yes, I am afraid. But not of Sami Zayn. He was afraid for his reputation. Losing to the better man would not have been a problem, but losing to Sami Zayn was the biggest embarrassment of his career. Gunther was so confident that he would win at WrestleMania that he flew his family in, all the way from overseas. They were there in Philadelphia. He had to look his father in the eye, and his father told him, I flew from Vienna to Philadelphia. And that's awful enough. I mean, to go from Vienna to Philadelphia. Oof. But he flew from Vienna to Philadelphia just to watch him lose to that bum, Sami Zayn. Gunther didn't expect him to understand, though, because Sami's family was used to seeing him fail. Gunther's family expected everything from him because he was special. He was something that Zayn would never be, the World Heavyweight Champion. Sami said that he did lose a lot in front of his family, but he kept pulling himself up and he moved forward. But Gunther crumbled after he lost. Gunther never even asked for a rematch. He disappeared because he couldn't show his face, all because his dad made him feel like a loser. Now he was showing his dad he was also a coward. So Gunther leveled Zayn with a clothesline. Sami fought back with an exploder. He went for a haluva kick. Gunther caught him in a sleeper hold before delivering a powerbomb. Gunther then finally he looked down and he accepted the challenge. You want your match? You got it. And he left the ring, and they cut back to Sami as he was getting up, and he had a smile on his face, and you could see him mouthing the words, I got you. So, I mean, it's not a bad way for them to get to this match, but it was a little disappointing that after weeks of saying no, it was just another promo and Sami just annoying him a little bit more. And now, all of a sudden, Gunther's like, all right, fine. I guess as a way to just get rid of you, I'll give you a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. Because, what I would have expected in a situation like this with someone like Gunther, it would have made sense for him to make Sami jump through hoops. For him to tell Sami, you want a shot at my World Heavyweight Championship? You got to prove to me that you deserve a shot. You beating me at WrestleMania, that was a fluke. And that was the Intercontinental title. Now I'm the World Heavyweight Champion. You've got to prove to me that you deserve to get in this ring with me. So you've got to jump through hoops. You've got to run the gauntlet. Make him do something, because this match, this is we now know when the match is going to happen. So I guess there was no time for that. But hell, I would have put it off a little bit longer then and just had Sami have to go through all of these different challenges, and finally, he earns Gunther's respect enough where Gunther says, all right, you know what? You held up your end of the bargain. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a shot. One shot in my World Heavyweight title. Something like that. That's kind of what I was expecting. I thought they might do that a few weeks ago when Sami had the match with Ludwig Kaiser. I thought he might say, look, if you could beat Ludwig, then I will give you a shot at the World Heavyweight title. And he didn't do that. But the point is, though, we have the match now. The match is now official. Sami has been granted his World Heavyweight Championship match. And I was hoping, as I've been saying, that they would do this match on a PLE. It's a World Heavyweight Championship match, frankly. It belongs on there. But do it on a PLE so we don't have to worry about commercial breaks. Raw continues and the same bullshit we get every week. But we're not that fortunate. The match has been announced. It is taking place on Raw next Monday night. And I cannot imagine that will be the only time we see them. So maybe they've just decided we'll do the first match on TV. And maybe they won't even give that much away. It'll be a good match, not a great match. Maybe they do the finish in such a way where there's some controversy, but Gunther wins, or maybe not. Maybe there's some sort of no contest or something. But I just cannot imagine that they don't run this back at Crown Jewel. I think that's where this is headed. We're going to have a World Heavyweight Championship main event next week. And then the rematch comes in Saudi Arabia, where Sami is treated like a god over there. He always gets a great reaction from the crowd over there. I just can't see them doing anything with Sami other than having him wrestle Gunther for the championship on that show. But the first match we're getting on TV next week, and it's going to be a great match. It may not even be their best match, but if they give them enough time, even with the commercial interruptions, it should be really good. It's the first 2-hour Raw next week. So they're not going to have as much time as they normally would to fit everything in that Triple H likes to fit in. So I'm not even sure how much time the match is going to get. If it was 3 hours, one of the benefits is that they can give more time to some of the matches. That may not be the case next week. But that's, again, one of the reasons why I want to see these two have another PLE match like they had at WrestleMania. They had a great match at WrestleMania. Let them go out there at Crown Jewel, uninterrupted, and tear it up like we know they can do. We had The Miz and R-Truth against the Authors of Pain with Karrion Kross and Scarlett at ringside in their corner. Truth made the hot tag to Miz. Miz immediately turned around after he got in the ring and he booted Truth in the face. Crowd booed. Miz walked off. Karrion Kross was laughing his ass off. His mind games finally paid off. AOP hit Truth with their powerbomb neckbreaker combo and pinned him. And so finally, The Miz has once again gone heel, which is something that should have been done months ago. But honestly, does anybody care? I don't. Kathy Kelly tried interviewing Gunther in the back and Ludwig Kaiser, but they were interrupted not by Sami Zayn. They were interrupted by Braun Breaker. Braun just wanted to take a gander at Gunther's world title, which he had, I believe it was draped over his shoulder. Gunther then turned to Kaiser, and it sounded almost sarcastic, but he turned to Kaiser and said that this man, being Braun, is a badass. And Breaker said, "You'd find that out soon." And he walked off. As this was going on, there was an argument happening in the background, in the hallway. You could see off in the distance between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So that would have qualified as the fourth New Day segment on this show. They had a number of segments tonight, but you could tell all wasn't well in the land of the New Day as this was going on. Very interesting tease here with Gunther and Braun Breaker. Are they going with Breaker as the badass babyface going forward? I mean, it feels like there's been a shift maybe, where maybe he was going to go one way and they decided, you know what, we're going to take this a totally different way. There's not a doubt in my mind that the creative changed for a number of people, because they were setting up for Sami Zayn and Jey Uso to challenge for the tag team titles against the Judgment Day. And then it just got dropped cold. Now Jey is the Intercontinental Champion. Sami is challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. And Braun Breaker now looks like he's going babyface. So clearly there was some sort of shift or change for whatever reason in creative that has affected all of these different people. And I'm not even against the idea, because the fans are already into Breaker. I mean, they think he is a badass. They think he's cool. He can run the ropes at 23 miles an hour and he spears the fuck out of people and he's very intense. He's got that intensity about him like Goldberg did back in the day. And that's something that the fans love. They love to go out there and bark like a dog when he's out there. And if they want to try to get him over as not like the smiling Vince McMahon babyface, but like this badass who just doesn't give a fuck and just goes out there and beats the hell out of people and spears them in half, then I think it'll work. But again, it's not at all what I was expecting them to be doing with Breaker right now. So I would just be curious what changed and when and why. But there's clearly been a shift of some kind from what it looked like they were going to be doing 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago to where we are now. But then we came down to our main event. And the main event was Last Monster Standing between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. Kevin says, I can run the ropes at 2 miles an hour. Let me tell you something. When I was at the Nightmare Factory last year, and QT was there and Cody was there, and I ran the ropes. I didn't run the ropes at 2 miles an hour. Right? Maybe I ran it at 3. But whether you're going at 2 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour, okay, that shit hurts. Ask any wrestler or any wrestler in training, and they'll tell you the same thing. Because most people don't know what the fuck they're doing when they run the ropes. Where they put the placement of their arm in such a way where, it shouldn't be. I mean, it hurts. Look, even if you're doing it the right way, it hurts. It never stops hurting. It's not like a great feeling. But I learned a few things that I otherwise would not have known, especially kind of throwing your ass into the middle rope, which is something I wouldn't have thought of. So it doesn't matter how slowly or quickly you're going into the ropes, it's going to hurt. Now imagine doing that every single night. Imagine doing those drills where all you do is run the ropes. All the bruising and rope burn. It's not fun, man. Joe Tessitore noted that Braun Strowman is 4-0 in last man standing matches. Strowman, as soon as he got into the ring, Strowman clotheslined Bronson Reed. And the bell rang, and that officially started the match. Again, no pinfalls, no submissions, no countouts, no disqualifications. The only way the match ends, it's last man standing rules. You have to respond to the 10 count. First man back up to their feet at 10, or whoever's standing at 10. If the other man isn't, that person wins. So they ended up outside the ring. Strowman battered him with the top part of the ring steps, and then he chokeslammed Bronson Reed through the announce desk. This was all in the opening, 60 seconds, 90 seconds of this match. Reed managed to get back to his feet, though, by the 6 count. There was also a spot in here where Strowman shoulder blocked Reed off the apron, and he went flying through some chairs that were set up during the commercial break. I don't know who set them up. Might have been Reed. But there were 6 chairs, and they were back to back, just next to each other outside. And Reed went flying off the apron, and he went through those chairs. So they fought to the stage, and then they fought off to the side area, kind of in the crowd. And they climbed up on top of a production case, and Bronson Reed got Braun Strowman, who's a big motherfucker, okay? I know Pat McAfee calls him a big son of a bitch. He's a big mofo. And he got him up on his shoulders, and Reed gave him a Death Valley driver off the production case through 2 tables that were sitting side by side. Both men beat the referee's count. They made their way back to ringside. Reed shoulder blocked Strowman through the barricade by the timekeeper's area. Once Strowman beat the count back to his feet, Reed then speared him into the back wall, the other barricade in that same area, and into the front row. And Adam Pearce came out, referees came out, security came out, producers came out. I saw Ken Doane and Kenny Dykstra. And Jason Jordan was out there as well. And they were out there to check on the fans in the front row. Now, I put fans in quotation marks here because I'm not so sure they were fans. But I'll tell you what, you want to see something scary with somebody being knocked into the fucking crowd, you need to go check out the opening match on the House of Glory show last night. Okay, it's not up yet, but it'll be up later this week on Triller TV. There was an emergency with the crew, so we couldn't stream it live, but it'll be going up in the next few days. And we have a 6-way scramble match as the opening match, and the Amazing Red is in this match. And you have got to see Red just launch himself out of the ring, through the ropes, out of the ring, into the 3rd fucking row. And it's funny because a friend of mine was at the show with his 2 little girls, and they were in the 3rd row. And it just so happened that they chose seats in that particular area. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing commentary and I'm trying to focus on what's going on here. And I see Red fly into, when I say fly into the crowd, I'm not talking about the front row. Like, he flew into the second and third row. And I'm like, oh my God, he killed my friend and his kids. And I told somebody, I go, please go over and check and make sure they're okay. I can't believe what I just saw. That was scary. This wasn't scary. That was scary. So Reed got Strowman back inside, and he went up top, and he hit the tsunami splash. But the referee is outside with all the other officials, and they're checking on the fans in the front row. No, Phil Dog, Joe Hendry was there. Joe Hendry was able to make it. We had Joe Hendry. The whole show was built around him for weeks. And then the hurricane hit, and TNA moved their TV tapings back by a day, and all of a sudden he couldn't make it anymore. Then TNA moved the tapings back again. Ultimately, they canceled the tapings. When they moved them, though, he became free again, and we all breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God. So he was there. He couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been nicer. We said his name, and he reappeared. So to answer your question, yes, he was there. Tsunami splash, no referee. So what do? Bronson Reed goes back up to the top rope. He hits another tsunami. Still, no referee. Now he's frustrated. Okay, now he's pissed. So he goes outside. He starts tossing. He tosses the referee to the ground, and he's throwing a bunch of people around. And then Adam Pearce gets up in his face. I don't know why you would do that, but Adam Pearce gets up in his face, and Reed grabs him by his jacket. Security runs over. Everybody runs over, and now I see what they're doing because they're all pooled together. And you can see that in the ring, Braun Strowman is ascending to the top rope. And Braun Strowman gets to the top rope, and Braun Strowman does a dive out onto the pile. Everybody goes down. Both men eventually get back up. Strowman rolls Reed back into the ring, and he goes back up to the top again. Now he thinks that he's a cruiserweight. So he goes up to the top. Reed launches a chair at Strowman. I don't think it hit him in the head. It looked like maybe it hit him in the shoulder. And Reed climbs up after him, and what does he do? He delivers a superplex, although Reed was standing on the middle rope. He himself was not standing on the top rope. That's just too much mass to have on the top rope at once. But he gives him a superplex off the ropes, and the ring imploded. And actually, the ring didn't quite implode as much as the 3 out of the 4 ring posts, because one of them was still standing, I think. 3 of the 4 ring posts, they did, they ended up on their side. And obviously, the ropes went down. But it wasn't quite the same ring implosion that we've seen before. But the ring now is broken. Strowman is down. Reed is down. And the referee is the last man standing. But he's not a monster. It's the last monster standing, so it doesn't count. Reed, finally, he's crawling towards the ring steps, which were in the ring. And he's crawling towards the steps to try to use them as a base to get himself back up so that he can beat the referee's count. But here comes Seth Rollins. He runs down the aisle. He gets into the ring, and he stomps him. Stomps Bronson Reed on top of the steps. Huge pop for Rollins. I would argue even bigger than the actual ring collapse got, or as big at least. And with Reed now knocked loopy and resting his head on the steps, Braun Strowman barely, but he beats the count. Back to his feet, and the referee calls for the bell and awards the match to Braun Strowman. Look at that. The fans finally got a babyface win on this show. Wouldn't you know, the one and only babyface versus heel win for the good guy comes in the main event by Braun Strowman, who now moves to 5-0 in last man standing matches. It was not quite the spectacle, like the insane spectacle that I thought it would be, compared to some of their past segments where they brawled to other parts of the building and they brawled outside the building. I love when they do shit like that. I love it. Like I'm a big fan of false count anywhere matches where you really do make use of the entire building or the outside of the building. And so I enjoyed the hell out of all that stuff. This they kept in the arena, even though there was technically nothing stopping them from fighting all over the place. But this was fun. I will say the crowd was surprisingly quiet for parts of this match, but they did react to all of the big spots, which is what you want. These guys have been putting the work in now for weeks, and they have been abusing each other. And it's been a lot of fun watching them come up with new ways to have the two of them destroy one another every single week. It truly has been one of the highlights of Raw since Seth Rollins got sent away with his storyline injury. These guys have really been just knocking it out of the park. And Bronson Reed losing this match, it makes sense. Does not hurt him at all. And it makes sense because Seth Rollins was the one who was put on the shelf for however many weeks it was. Right? He missed Bash in Berlin, so he missed a pay-per-view payday. That alone, he should be upset. But it makes sense that if you're going to have Bronson Reed lose, the only reason he lost was because Seth Rollins stuck his nose in his business. And it was foreshadowed by the segment in the back earlier in the show. He said it himself. I'm not afraid of Seth Rollins coming back, coming after me. I want him to. Well, you got your wish. And the people went nuts for it. So it all worked out well. Where do they go next? This is the key. This is the key question now. We are going to get Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. I don't know how long it will be before we get it. At the rate that they're throwing these big matches out on TV, it could be a TV main event in 2 weeks. Maybe they can wait until Crown Jewel and they can do the first match at Crown Jewel. But Bronson Reed needs to win that first match. Like if I'm booking this and I want to do everything in my power to try to keep the momentum going with Bronson Reed, it's very important that he goes in there and he gets a credible win over Seth Rollins. Because Seth Rollins is the established main event guy who is not going to be hurt by losing the first match to Bronson Reed in what will end up being hopefully a series of at least 2, if not 3 matches between them. Reed needs to win that first match. That would be making a statement that we are committed to doing something with this guy, that we really do see the value in keeping him strong. Even if, Rollins, of course, is going to go on, I'm sure, to beat him in the end. That's fine. Because you got to get Rollins all primed and prepped for whatever he's going to be doing WrestleMania season. I get that. But that's why it's important, I think, to give Reed at least one big win in this program. And they either end up 1 win apiece or Rollins wins in the end, 2 wins to 1, whatever it is. But I just think it would be a massive mistake if he just goes in there and loses, especially after losing here. Losing here was fine. Turning around after this and losing to Seth would be fucking death. And I don't want to see that happen because Reed has now turned into truly a bona fide attraction here on this show. So hopefully we will see that match soon enough where Rollins can get back in the ring and show that everything is okay. I don't know if he was still hurt legitimately or just needed time off. I mean, there were reports that he was still very banged up. So, I mean, for their sake, I hope he's as close to 100% as he can be, because they're going to need him come WrestleMania season. I mean, think of how important he was to WrestleMania this year. He goes in there defending the World Heavyweight Championship when we weren't sure he was going to make it. And he had to be scared to death when he got hurt in the match with Jinder Mahal in January. He may have thought, oh shit, I tore my ACL again. And it turned out to be his PCL or his MCL. I think it was MCL. So he missed Elimination Chamber, but as far as being in a match, but he was able to make it on the WrestleMania card, and he defended the World Heavyweight Championship. He came back out. He played a part in the main event on night 2, right? He was involved in a lot of shit. So you want to make sure you have a healthy Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania season in 2025. Hopefully all is well on that front. But that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the final 3-hour edition of Monday Night Raw for 2024. What will be in 2025 come January remains to be seen. I am sure it will be a return to 3 hours. And I'm going to enjoy the new format while it lasts. You know what I'm going to enjoy even more? Being able to go live an hour earlier than usual. Selfishly, that's what I'm looking forward to. I get to go live with you around 10:30 instead of 11:30. Isn't that cool? That means I get more sleep. But I thought overall it was a solid show. But the main event delivered. It was fun. They got Rollins back, which is great. We have our World Heavyweight Championship match next week. In fact, I'll say this, even though I wish they would do the match on a PLE, but next week they've already announced Gunther and Sami Zayn for the World Heavyweight title. Sheamus and Pete Dunne are going to have a Donnybrook. And Jey Uso is going to defend the Intercontinental title against Xavier Woods. And I'm digging that story. And I am not expecting there to be a title change next week. And when he does not win the championship, that'll be the next chapter in the teased breakup of the New Day. But that's 3 matches already. Yeah, three pretty big matches. I mean, look, Intercontinental and World title match already on tap for next Monday, and we're still 7 days out. Not bad. I did mention my Bad Blood predictions are up on the channel right now, so you can check them out there. I'm not going to talk about that here. But just a little programming note for you. I am going to be live here on the channel tomorrow night. Tuesday night, a rare NXT review because it is the biggest NXT show of the entire year. It is the NXT debut on the CW network, 8 p.m. Eastern. They're going to be in Chicago. It's a regular-sized building. They're going to have, I think, 5,000 people there. It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to feel like an NXT PLE. And CM Punk is going to be there officiating the main event between Trick Williams and Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. Julia, I believe, is opening the show, challenging Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship. And Shawn Michaels, man, he has been teasing surprises. He hasn't mentioned any machine guns, but wouldn't shock me if that was one of the surprises that pops up on the show tomorrow night. But I will be reviewing the show live when it is over. Here on the channel.
Everyone,
so there will be no
Samoa Bro.
Hey, Jake Jones, thank you. Another 20 from Jake Jones. Thank you, brother. So there will be no TNT this week, but NXT tomorrow night. And remember, no Dynamite review on Wednesday. I will not be here. So I will not be covering the 5-year anniversary show live. You're going to have to wait until the weekend on the podcast, and we'll talk about it then. So just so you guys know. Here's the Twitter poll. What did you think of Raw and Last Monster Standing? 87% thumbs up and 12.8% thumbs down for tonight's episode. It'd be nice if we ended up with a score like that for Bad Blood this weekend. Bad Blood, on paper, it's looking pretty cool. I'd say if we ended up with this poll result on Saturday, that would make for a pretty good show. So let's hope. Let us hope. Celebrating the blue and orange here on the stream tonight because that's how we do's it. That's how we do's it here on the channel. I haven't even checked the likes. We are currently sitting at 405, which means we will be the booker later. So thank you guys for that. So at least we've already guaranteed a be the booker for tonight. We didn't quite make it on Friday, but we made it with ease tonight. All right, let's go through your super chats. I always have to go through the early ones first, which you are not going to see on screen, like the Rabbit Wolverine. I see what you did there. The Rabbit Wolverine says, thank you, WWE. Finally, blue globes on the IC title. It's about time, isn't it? It's like these two giant balls on either side of the plate that now are blue. They have blue balls on the Intercontinental title. We've got Daniel Carlisto. I actually like the mask on Katana Chance. Makes her look different and her character's kind of like a ninja anyway. Oh, it's certainly different. Who was the NBA player when I was younger who wore the face mask? It wasn't Horace Grant, was it? I can't remember who it was. Became like his gimmick. Tommy Colella with the $10 super chat. I was thinking about something. Do you think they can hold off on Kofi against Woods until WrestleMania with Big E as the special guest referee? I mean, they could. I don't know that they will. But yeah, I can see that. Sidro. Oh boy. Our boy Sidro is with us. Sidro always has something to say. To try to put a smile on our face. Try being the operative word. Guy on tractor drove past yelling, "The end is near." I think it was Farmer Geddon. Got a job as director at Old McDonald's Farm. I'm the CIEIO.
You suck.
He drops another super chat. Where do bad rainbows go? Where do bad rainbows go? They go to Prism. It's a light sentence, but it gives them time to reflect. And my mood ring is missing. Don't know how I feel about that. Oh, Horace Grant was goggles. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, so I was close though. I knew he had some kind of apparatus on his face though. Okay, so that's right. He was the goggles. He was the goggles. That's right. And Sidro has one more super chat here. This time just to tell us, went from Braun segment to Braun versus Bronson. You know, I hadn't realized that, but that's true. They did. They went from one to the other, Triple B. Sidro, what can I say? You're one of a kind. Don't ever change. Jerome Eugenio, congrats to you and your Mets. Is this their year to win it all? Every time I feel it's their year to win it all, it ends up biting me on the ass. I'm going to say, I'm going to enjoy the ride while it lasts. That's what I'm going to say. The Rabbit Wolverine. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman have a 5-star banger. I don't know about that, but they had a banger. Not 5 stars, but they had a banger. Iceman 94 with the $9.99 super chat. Had a great time going to my first ever Raw. Was probably a mid-show for everyone else watching on TV, but was very fun experiencing it in person for the first time. Keep up the great work, Solo. Thank you very much. Iceman, I hope you enjoyed the show. Sounds like you had a good time. Uffman Entertainment with the $100 super chat that I read earlier for Grimace. Absolutely. The Mets, hey, look, if Grimace is going to be our good luck charm, I'll take it. I'll take it, man. Boomerang says, Game 1 of the Mets doubleheader was the best game that I've watched in the 26 years of being a fan. Felt like the equivalent of a WrestleMania classic. Let's go, Matt. I tell you what, it was the craziest game that I've seen in a long time. I had given up hope. Like, it was the 8th inning, and they were down by, what were they down by? 3 runs, I think, 4 runs. And I was like, you know what? I could see where this is going. I've seen this story play out before. And then they just poured it on, and they poured it on even more. And I'm like, fuck yeah, right? What a great comeback. But then you got Edwin Diaz in there, and it's like, oh boy. We're putting everything on him. He does not work well under pressure. Then they coughed up the lead, but then they got it back. tit for tat, back and forth. It's a great game. It was a great game, but after going through a game like that, I knew they were going to lose in the second game. But then, again, they didn't necessarily play all their best players, which is understandable because they have to turn right around and now they have to play the Brewers. So you want to make sure you got your best people ready to go. Superfly is with us, dropping a 5. Did you see WWE refiled for the Yes, Yes, Yes trademark after Danielson tried doing it before All In? Love your content, Solo. Happy October 1st. It is my favorite month. It is Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Thank you, Superfly. And yes, I did see that. Petty is thy name. You're called WWE. Superman Bash Fisher with the $15. We go from Superfly to Superman. Look at that. Then we go to CNM. Hey, Superman, though, thank you for the 15. I appreciate that. CNM3443 with a $9.99 says, really enjoyed Raw tonight, especially the Bronson Reed stuff at the end. I love what they have been doing with him and cannot wait for the match with Seth. Who would you pick as his early Mania 41 opponent? I don't know. For Bronson Reed. I mean, having him in there with somebody like a Sheamus, I feel like, would be a really good match. So I'll throw Sheamus's name out there. You can maybe craft a story with them. I don't see him competing for, certainly not the World Heavyweight Championship. I guess we have to see who's the Intercontinental Champion. I wouldn't mind him getting a run with the IC title. I just don't know who the champion is going to be at that point. I don't think it will still be Jey Uso, but it's possible. So I don't know. I mean, just in terms of specific names, I like the idea of like a big PLE match with Reed and Sheamus. But whoever the Intercontinental Champion is, maybe him and Bronson Reed, and maybe Reed wins the title. That could be an idea. Joseph Stewart, what would DDP WCW career have looked like if he had beaten Goldberg at Halloween Havoc 98? Would he have been the new face of WCW? He was already one of the faces of WCW, honestly. For me, like when I think back on that era, I think of Goldberg and I think of him in 98. Like 98 was really their year. 97 was also a really good year for DDP, and he got to work with Savage, and Savage put him over, and it was a huge thing for his career. Had he won the World Championship, would he have been the face of the company? Probably not, because Goldberg was still super hot at that time as an attraction. And I think had he lost to DDP, he probably still would have been like the most over babyface of the two. So I don't know that he would have been the champion for that long. But the people, I think, were ready for it, and the people would have popped huge had he won that night. Retro Mintman. Hello from San Antonio. Are there any WWE shows you've been to live where you were able to spot yourself in the crowd? Would love to peep on Peacock. Yes, there are multiple ones, actually. Do you care to let Retro Man know? Maybe the biggest one of all. I'll give you another one. Royal Rumble in 2016, which is the one that AJ Styles debuted in and Triple H won. If you look, you can find me. It's like that first row above the ground level. I think we're behind the barricade. You can see me there. I got glasses on, but you can see me there. Including when I turned my back when Triple H won the Royal Rumble. Because none of us in that row wanted to see that be the outcome of that match. So that's one. The main one is WrestleMania 30. Of all the moments when the Undertaker's streak was broken by Brock Lesnar, and they cut to the crowd shots, and everybody's got this shocked look on their face. Everyone's like, like, oh my God, like they can't believe it, like, oh my God, hands over their mouth. And then, and it's right before Justin Roberts begins making the announcement that Brock won. It's like the last crowd shot. It's a fan in the crowd, like I think like a younger kid, and he's got maybe his hands on his head or whatever. And if you look in the lower right corner of the screen, again, I have glasses on there, you'll see one guy in the crowd who appears to be laughing. That's this guy right here. So, you want to go peep something out on Peacock? I mean, I don't know, the idea of you peeping me is a little weird, but if you want to, that's where you can go find me. I'm still waiting on my royalties, though. WWE hasn't sent me any. For all the times they replay that shit, I haven't seen a dime. It just seems very unfair. Aaron Ruggiero with the $100 bomb. Aaron, you are the fucking man. He said, I got some jokes. Oh boy, here we go. Why did the Ultimate Warrior get fired from the pet shop? He didn't sell the pedigree. Oh man. Also, what did Devon tell Bubba when they were working at McDonald's? Oh, Bubba, test the fries. Also, fuck the Mets, go Yankees, sorry Solo. I love you, Solo. Do you think that makes up for that horrible statement that you just said? These jokes just seem to get worse and worse. Aaron, I'm willing to overlook it because you dropped the bomb on me tonight, and I appreciate that. So I will say thank you, and I will not bury you for those comments. Raph, as of midnight, happy 100th birthday, Jimmy Carter. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I was worried about that because I remember when Betty White was just on the verge of turning 100 and then she fucking died. I'm like, what a cruel twist of fate. You live your whole life, you're this close to your centennial birthday, and then you fucking die. Like, you can't just wait until we hit the magic number. So I'm glad he made it. Happy birthday, Jimmy Carter. He's a good man. He's a very good man. Jake Jones with the $49.99. Jake and Gunther are here. Anyone gonna be at Bad Blood on Saturday? I will be there, and I'm hoping it delivers. Thanks for the review, Brothers Solo. Well, I won't be, but maybe somebody in the chat will. Let Jake know. Maybe you guys can link up when you're at the show. And Jake, thank you again, and enjoy the show. And chime in, too. I'm gonna be live that night. Maybe you can jump in the live chat while I'm reviewing the show. That's right, Bob Barker also. All right, that's right. Did Bob make it to 100, or he also passed away just shy, didn't he? Or did he actually hit 100? I don't remember now. Justin, you win the night. Justin wins the night. Justin wins the night. He said, where did it go? Bob Barker made it as close to 100 as he could without going over. Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be another comment. I know you're not the only one who came up with it. You stole it, but honestly, that's the first time I heard it, and I fucking love it. I fucking love that. And I was a huge, like, Bob Barker Price is Right guy. Like, when he hosted it and not even, like, in, like, the later years. I'm talking, like, before he even just started letting the hair just go gray naturally. Because I've seen all the episodes they have, like, on the Pluto TV channel that has his episodes. I'm more used to seeing him now without gray hair than I am with gray hair, which is what I grew up on him having. But there's never been a better game show host, and I don't think there ever will be. He's the GOAT. When it comes to that, like, he's the GOAT. You have a Mount Rushmore of game show hosts, like, there he is. The first face you see. Nick with the $6. I am a fan of Gunther. However, just seeing how he's been used from Mania till now, I just feel like there's a lot more interesting options on Raw to be World Heavyweight Champion this year than him. He just feels so there. The problem is, like, what do you do with him if he's not either fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship or defending the World Heavyweight Championship? He was the final boss for so long and unbeaten for so long that it wouldn't make sense for him to be doing anything else. And I think it's better this way anyway, because if you want to keep the title on him for a while, you know, that backstage segment we got tonight could have been a hint. It could have been a hint of what we may get at WrestleMania. When you start thinking about, well, who's going to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight title if he's still the champion at WrestleMania? Sami Zayn could have been that person. Didn't seem likely after we already got it this year for the IC title. I feel like they kind of fucked that whole story up, and we're getting it now. And you look, and again, there were some people saying, oh, maybe Ilja Dragunov is going to be the dark horse pick to win the Royal Rumble, and he'll challenge Gunther at WrestleMania. Well, that's out the fucking window now. Guy's got a torn ACL. Probably hasn't even been operated on yet. His WrestleMania plans just went up in flames, if they had any for him. I don't even know if they did. Braun Breaker may well be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. That may have been our first tease for what that title match is going to be in Vegas next year. They may be readying the rocket to strap it to Braun right now. They're not going to wait another year, 2 years. They're ready to do it right now. That may well have been the reveal for what their plans are. And if in fact that's the case, then I think Gunther is the perfect person to be the World Heavyweight Champion right now, because he could help elevate somebody new. That's where he can really be useful. Gunther is already a made guy on this show. He's been booked so well since he got called up in 2022. He's a made guy, so you can use him and the fact that he's rarely been beaten to really help elevate somebody like Breaker into that spot. And it still feels like it would be too quick, though, for me to put the World Heavyweight title on him. But if their goal here is to try to truly make a new star, I can't think of a better platform than him beating, Gunther at WrestleMania to become the champion. How huge would that be for his career? Snorhawk 64 with the 10 spot. Just left the theater from seeing Joker 2. Non-spoiler, quick review. It was a good movie. They did a good job showing how not right in the head he is, and had good cinematography. I gotta be honest, the trailer didn't really appeal to me. I wasn't impressed by the trailer the way some people were. I didn't watch the trailer and think, oh man, I can't wait to see that movie. I'm like, I think I'll wait. Innuendo, what do you think will be the best match on Bad Blood? I love you, Solo. I love you, Solo. What do I think will be the best match at Bad Blood? I'm thinking Hell in a Cell. Also, Innuendo says thoughts on Brock being back on the roster page. Yeah, I saw something about that. I don't know if he may have already been on the active roster page. I mean, it's not like I've studied the WWE.com roster page, so I don't know if he was already there and people are only just noticing. Honestly, I would not read too much into it. We've got Avwunu is with us with a $7 super chat. Terror Twins against Judgment Day needs to end at Bad Blood. Let them defend the tag belts, please. Pure Fusion Collective becoming the learning tree. No one is getting over from the feud. Well, I'll tell you, boy, the visual of Sonya Deville coming out every week and going, "Hi guys," is actually fucking hilarious to me. No one is getting over from the feud. LWO versus the Judgment Day also needs to end. No one is benefiting. I don't disagree. Devin from NJ, buy, rent, and sell. Yeah, what, and yeet. I think we're going to junk every single one of them. I think they're all fucking annoying. I would say yeah is probably the least annoying of the three, so I guess I'll buy on that one. And then I'll rent on yeet. And I'm not going to sell what. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to drive to... There's an abandoned warehouse about 10 minutes away from where I am. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak up behind the what. And I'm going to chloroform it. I'm going to throw it in my trunk. And I'm going to drive to the abandoned warehouse 10 minutes away. And I'm going to throw it inside. I'm going to douse it in gasoline. And I'm going to set the fucking thing on fire. Does that answer your question? CNM. Did you see that Bryan versus Okada 3 is set for Wednesday? Is that...
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up.
Fuck that tree.
I was waiting for that. I was wondering if we were going to get one of those tonight. Hey, Justin, thank you for the learning tree. So is that official? Is that true? Are we getting Bryan Danielson against Kazuchika Okada? Kazuchika Okada Part 3 on 2 days' notice with some random fucking Twitter announcement? Really? Just like that? Just kind of throwing it out there, huh? Interesting. Okay. Robert Fox with the $10 super chat. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody loves doing that. What a wild day. Congrats to your Mets and my Braves for making the playoffs. We'll see if either will actually do anything in the playoffs. Go Braves. Chop on. Congrats, Robert. Congrats. We'll see. We'll find out in very short order how these two teams do. Justin G. Green Man deserves a nice recovery and a parade. Hashtag 2 hours. Oh my God, Green Man. You don't get to see no more Green Man. I mean, you haven't been seeing him lately anyway, but Green Man is going to take an extended vacation now for a few months. Nobody is happier about these 2-hour Raws coming up than Green Man is. The Julia... Whoa, what do you mean title? Title for title? What are you talking about? Title for title? It's not title for title. Title for title? So wait a minute. So let me get this straight. On 2 days' notice, without any television promotion at all, Tony Khan decides, I'm going to throw out a Bryan Danielson, Kazuchika Okada, champion versus champion, title for title match on Dynamite this week. Whatever. I don't even give a fuck. Brian Alex. Prime Energy stand is indestructible. Yeah, that fucking thing that somehow, I guess it's in the contract. Unless you're Kevin Owens, you can't touch it. Kevin Owens always like touches it and grabs a bottle and tosses it. Jake Jones with a 20. Looking to get into House of Glory, what are a few matches that you would consider the best in the promotion that I should watch? I'll tell you right off the bat this year, there was a match June 8th is our Puerto Rican weekend. Mike Santana's Puerto Rican weekend. He really had a big hand in helping put that show together. And he defended the title in the main event against the Amazing Red. They had an incredible match. So Red and Santana is one. There was a match in December of last year for our Crown Jewel title, which I guess would kind of be the equivalent of like the Intercontinental, but it really is, it is a prestigious title in the company. Where Charles Mason defended and lost that championship after 500 and something days to Carlos La Sombra Ramirez. That was the wildest match that I have ever been a part of. And I did have a part in that match, but that was the wildest match I've ever seen live in my life. Crazy stuff. So those are two to definitely check out. Retro KOH. I met Princess Toadstool's son, but I don't like him. He's a real son of a peach. Thank you, Retro. Yes, and anything with Gringo Loco. Gringo Loco wrestled Fuego del Sol on the show last night. Everything Gringo does, I mean, the people go nuts for. He always pulls something out that I've never seen before. Last night was no different. Like, he just knows how to get over, and he wrestles just a fun style. So yes, anything with Gringo Loco, we've had him in quite a few times this year. He's our Cruiserweight champion right now. Just great stuff. I smoke a lot of weed. Would you consider bringing Mr. Kennedy to Hog? To do what? Justin G with 12, because someone has to do it. There needs to be chainsaw sounds. Thank you, Solo. We love you, Solo. Danielson issued the challenge against Okada on Facebook. Oh, okay, great. That's great. That makes it even better. Retro KOH, I was married once before my current marriage. It was a 3-ring circus. There was an engagement ring, a wedding ring, and then some suffering.
You suck.
I'm definitely suffering right now. And the Juliet. Best wishes to Killswitch. Hope he gets well soon. Yeah, best wishes to Luchasaurus, Killswitch, whatever you want to call him. Apparently he was found, he collapsed, rushed to the hospital. I don't know if that was today or over the weekend. Diagnosed with double pneumonia in both of his lungs, and they had him on oxygen. He's on the mend. I believe he's doing better now, but that's pretty serious stuff. Getting pneumonia at all, let alone in both of your lungs, is not good, no matter what age you are. So here's hoping that everything clears up quickly and he is back to his old self very soon. But that's very scary. So before I even get into this, you're making me check this now. This whole Danielson Okada thing. This is really just. I mean, I know I shouldn't be surprised. There it is. Oh well, wait. Okay, so hold on a second here. Because we've got to complicate things now. We are getting Bryan Danielson against Kazuchika Okada 3. All of a sudden, on Wednesday, right? Now, we've had no interaction at all between Danielson and Okada in months, right? Probably since Anarchy in the Arena. Now they're wrestling on Wednesday, title for title, But the Continental title is only at stake for the first 20 minutes of the match. You got that? So the AEW World title is on the line, and Okada's Continental title is on the line. But the Continental title is only on the line for the first 20 minutes of the match because Continental title bouts have 20-minute time limits, while World title matches have 60-minute time limits. Okay, so now that really clears things up there. Well, look, Okada and Danielson could have a great match in their sleep. So that's great and all, but boy, talk about a match to just throw out there like that. I just okay. Off Leather Wings with a $4.99 super chat. Okada's Continental Well, here we go. Okada's Continental Championship is only on the line for the first 20 minutes of the match. If it surpasses 20 minutes, it's only for the world. What? So wait a minute. So the world title. So wait. Oh, Jesus Christ. So if Okada beats him, let's say in the first 15 minutes, I mean, the world title is on the line. I assume, right? I mean, the world title is on the line for the entire duration of the match. It's not like the world championship only kicks in at the 20-minute mark. Why does this have to be so fucking complicated? I don't understand why this needs to be so complicated. Richie, what was your reaction when Steve Austin turned heel at WrestleMania 17, and where were you? Where was I? That was 2001. That's a good question. Where was I? I'm assuming I was home. I believe I was home. And my reaction to it was that I was not a fan of it. That was my reaction to it. Turning Steve Austin heel in Texas? That's a ballsy move. Not the move I would have made. And obviously not the move that Steve Austin would have made, as he readily admits to now. That was a mistake. RDS Harry, Solomonster, hope you are having a good night, brother. I am. Thank you, Harry. Harry, I saw your message earlier, your tweet, whatever it was. I did see it, so thank you. I can't wait until tomorrow when Tony Khan makes the announcement on Twitter that Swerve Strickland is back. And he's going to be wrestling... the match with Hangman Page and Juice Robinson has been canceled. And instead, we're going to get Swerve and Hangman. We're going to get Swerve and Hangman Part 4, or whatever it is, on Dynamite this week. And it's going to be an exploding barbed wire death match. That's going to be awesome. So we have surpassed the goal for Be the Booker, and on that note, it is time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Here we go. It's been almost a week since we've heard that sound. So let's get to it here. Be the Booker time. Justin G coming in with a $2 super chat. Did Shane get the Okada-Bryan match from a lockbox? Yeah, I don't think Vince McMahon had that match in the lockbox. All right, tag team Be the Booker begins with Braun Strowman and Ricochet. I had forgotten those two were even a tag team. Strowman and Ricochet. Strowman in the main event of Raw tonight. Ricochet, 5 minutes ago, I would have told you that Ricochet will be in the main event on Dynamite this week against Will Ospreay. But now we have Bryan and Okada, so that should be the main event. But these are two men that you will see on your television this week. Braun O'Shea. Yes. Braun O'Shea is going to be taking on the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Oh my God. We're going to get Bret Hart and Ricochet in the ring together. Take all my money. Bret Hart and Ricochet. And this isn't even Bret like at his peak. This is still like early Bret. Bret, like in his true great final form, didn't really hit until like 94. But I will take Bret Hart and Ricochet, even if it was in 1988. That's fine with me. Actually, this photo here looks like it's 87, probably. Yeah, I'm thinking that's 87. Bret's still got some of that baby fat. That's got to be 87. Look, he had that great match with Steamboat in 86. All right, here we go. Women's Be the Booker. That's right. Anvil and Strowman slapping meat, says Deputy Dog. Hey, whatever they want to do in private is their business. We begin with Io Sky. Love Io Sky. Who would be up for Io Sky winning the Royal Rumble and challenging for the championship at WrestleMania? We have got Io Sky going one-on-one. Well, would you look at this? With Jade Cargill. You know, they're teasing this match. I mean, they're teasing Damage Control against Bianca and Jade for the women's tag team title. So we will very soon get to see Io Sky and Jade Cargill in the ring together. So this is an example of a Be the Booker match that will come to life sometime in the next few weeks, and we'll get to see how good or bad it really is. We are going to get to find out very soon how that match would go. We're not going to have to wait that long. And now we have men's Be the Booker. Why would Io get another WrestleMania title match? Because she's fucking over. That's why. Because she's great and she's over. And she was a heel before, and now she can get one as a babyface. That's why. Men's Be the Booker. It is main event time. We are going to begin with the world's most dangerous man. The former tag team champion, intercontinental champion, king of the ring, Ken Shamrock. In the main event. But who will he be facing? Oh, please let it be Kurt Angle. We could have the Battle of the Ankle Locks. Or Chad Gable. Ken Shamrock going to go one-on-one with, oh boy, Devil's Choice. Keep or replace the man that you just picked. So now we have an option. We have a choice to make here. Because the way this stipulation works with Devil's Choice, we can start over again. If we don't want Ken Shamrock in the main event, we could ditch him and we can just start over and pick two people. Or we can just keep Shamrock and just ignore the stipulation and just pick his opponent. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Should we keep or should we replace? The choice is in your hands. Everyone is saying keep. Okay, keep. All right. So we're gonna keep Shamrock, and we're gonna spin again. This does not mean that we replace who we pick now. Like, we're locked in now, unless we land on that again. So those are the rules. Ken Shamrock, one-on-one with who? With the Monster Abyss. You know, I said at the beginning of the stream it was a good day. It was a good day because the Mets are going to the playoffs. It's a good day because Raw's going back to 2 hours next week. And it's a good day because we just had, for the first time in a while, our first clean sweep in Be the Booker. And that's how you know it's a good day. You can bring out the brooms which I wish we could have done to the Braves today, but that's okay. When you can bring out the brooms, you know you've had yourself a good day. Hey, Phil Dog, celebrating 21 months as a channel member. The Amazins back in the playoffs. All is right. The blue on the IC belt is a much welcomed addition. Long live Mount Mutombo. That's a good question. Did Ken Shamrock and Abyss actually take place in TNA? Shamrock was in the early days of TNA. Yes, he was. Was that a match? I don't know. It's possible. Maybe they had a match at some point early in those TNA days. Hey, Rectangled Galaxy, thank you. You rule too. You rule too, sir. I feel like I need a monocle like Mr. Peanut. I have this pipe in my hand. Brandon Vasquez. I'm a D-backs fan from Arizona. Screw the Mets. I swear to God, I started reading that. I thought that said I'm a D-bag fan from Arizona. I was about to go, yes, you are. But no, Brandon's good, man. Brandon's a Brandon's a channel member, so I will be nice. I won't say that. I won't say that. Hey, Hollywood guy. Thank you, brother. So why put the Continental belt on the line anyway? You're asking the wrong person, brother. I don't know, because, hey, it's the 5-year anniversary show, so why not? Why not? You know how many matches we had announced for this show tonight a week ago? At least 3, maybe 4. Even now, we already know the 3 big matches on Raw next week. Why are they adding Bryan Danielson and Okada in a title for title match on fucking social media 48 hours before? I just can't get over that. Like, a match that big and you just throw it out there. And again, it's like everything I talked about with Bryan and Nigel going into Grand Slam and how we couldn't even get one segment on TV with Bryan Danielson. But yet here, you want to know the absurdity of this, okay? Here's the absurdity of this. This match was made on social media, right? I just took a look. I didn't watch the promo, but I saw a video promo that evidently Bryan Danielson recorded. It looks like he's sitting with his legs crossed, like he's meditating in the middle of the fucking woods or something, and I guess he's the one who issued the challenge to Okada. How is it that Bryan Danielson, if I may ask...
By the power of Valhalla, it's Vintage Coal Tar.
Vintage Coal Tar is here, and we're going to get to Coal Tar in a second in Fire Panda, but what I want to say is, how is it that Bryan Danielson can just throw a social media video out there issuing a challenge sitting in the middle of the woods, but he can't do that one time in the build-up to his match with Nigel McGuinness, a match 15 years in the making at Grand Slam last week? We didn't hear from him once. In fact, the entire premise of the match is the champion even going to show up for it? We don't know. You mean to tell me we can't get one promo, one face-off between Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness in the lead-up to their match where we can get a fucking Bryan Danielson social media promo for a match that we didn't even know about until tonight? You don't see the absurdity of that? You don't think that's not a valid criticism? Hey, Fire Panda. Fire Panda is on fire. $51 super chat. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? And Yuio with $1.99. I respect you, Solo Man. Thank you. I respect Fire Panda, and I respect you as well. I appreciate that. Brandon Vasquez, at least the D-backs, not D-bags. Superdome, Hogan, not Silverdome. I fucked up the joke. At least the D-backs can beat the Yankees in a World Series. 2001 was great. Well, 2001 was mostly great. Let's not forget the other thing that happened in 2001. Sean D. Oh, I had them on pause. Sean D is coming in with a $5 super chat. What you're saying sounds like how we used to have What you're saying sounds like how we used to have to make he means sense of Vince's ridiculous booking about 10 or so years ago. You know what's funny about that? The people that will get upset when I have any sort of criticism about AEW, you know for fucking sure are the same people who would have looked at this Vince McMahon booking that you just talked about from 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 12 years ago, and they would have been bitching and moaning about the exact same thing. But because it's not Vince, it's okay. That's what just really grinds my gears. Just call a spade a spade. If there's something that doesn't make sense or there's something that irks you, then say it. Nothing wrong with that. Justin G slept like a log, woke up in the fireplace. Well, this has been a very interesting night, but a good night. And I hope you guys had fun as well. Next time I'm going to be live with you is less than 24 hours from now, because we're going to be talking about the NXT on CW debut as we begin a new era, yet another new era of NXT. But there should be some big surprises coming over these next 2 weeks, including tomorrow. I will have to figure out what I'm doing next Tuesday. I'm going to be covering either NXT or Dynamite. I don't know if I'm going to do both. I did that last year. It just was an awful experience. I mean, the stream was fine, but I mean, it was just an awful viewing experience for me. I really don't want to do that again. Where you kind of literally watch both shows at the same time. It's one thing to watch both shows and flip around or have two TVs going, but to actually focus and take notes on what's going on and listen to promos and stuff, it's just near impossible. So I may end up covering one or the other, and maybe I'll put it to a vote and just see what you guys would rather me go live with that night. And then the other show I would review, some other time. Maybe I'll put it to a vote. I don't know, but that's for next week. Because Dynamite and NXT are opposite each other on the same night again next Tuesday. It's Title Tuesday. So 2 Tuesdays in a row here on this channel, I will be live covering something. But for tomorrow night, it will be NXT. Boots says, do you have a favorite Motorhead Triple H theme song? Yeah, the original one, the game. Still the best one. And Nick Grosso. Rest in peace, Pete Rose. Love that heel promo from WrestleMania 14. Also, rest in peace, Maggie Smith. Yeah, the promo from WrestleMania 14 was, I mean, look, he knew how to get heat. He's in Beantown, he's in the ring. I left some tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't bend over to pick them up. How about it? The man knew how to get heat. He was a natural. Juan Ocampo, Raw might be going back to 2 hours, but your Mets chances are as great as me taking on you in Hog. What in the 1995 Vince is Tony Khan doing with the booking? I have no fucking idea. Justin was going to try an all almond diet. It's just nuts. Boy, you're on a roll. You are on a roll. The magic, I don't know if it's supposed to be. I'm gonna say the magic plumber. I know that's not how that's pronounced, but it's actually just, it sounds funnier if I say the the magic plumber. Says, I'll miss TNT, Solomonster, and Jason. What a combo. Yes, I agree. When I'm with myself, it's a fantastic combo. There's no better combo in the world than me and me. The only thing better than me is more me. So I agree. I like your style. Now they'll put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. No, they won't. What do you think this is? The WWE? They wait until you're dead and then they put you in? He wasn't going into the Hall of Fame before. He's not going into the Hall of Fame now. That decision was made, and that's the end of that. Hit that like button on the way out. Don't forget, 11 a.m. in the morning, the full Vince McMahon Netflix documentary review will be going up right here on the YouTube channel. For those of you who like to listen to this stuff on YouTube, that is where you will be able to find it. Share it out. Leave a comment. Support in any way you can. Let's blow it up and blast it out so the world can hear it. I do appreciate all the support. Deb to Dust, would you want to be 6'8"? No, I would not, actually. I feel like that would be a real big pain in the ass. I'm comfortable being exactly what I am. I've lived my entire life this way, so. Like if there's a door, for example, that's closing very slowly. Many times I've ran to the door and I can, you know what I do? I do a Razor Ramon where I kind of turn to the side and I put my arms out and I just glide through. I feel like if I was 6'8", I wouldn't be able to do that. Just stuff like that. I wouldn't want to be 6'8". Plus, none of my clothes would fit if I was 6'8". I'd have to buy all new clothes. All my suits, nothing would fit me. I'd have to buy a whole new wardrobe. Why would I want to be 6'8" all of a sudden? That's right. I'm a comfortable 4'7", man. It's just very convenient. Dev to Dust says, buy, sell, rent, Godzilla, King Kong, or Frankenstein. Not a King Kong guy. I'm not even really a Godzilla guy, to be honest with you. But I'd go Godzilla, buy. I would rent on Frankenstein and sell on King Kong. Muggsy Bogues. I'm bigger than Muggsy Bogues, okay? Come on now. I'm bigger than Muggsy Bogues. Probably bigger than some of the wrestlers on the AEW roster. I said some, not all. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. It's been fun. I'll see you tomorrow night, live for the NXT recap right here as soon as the show is over, probably around 10:30 or so. Come on back. Until then, have a good night, guys.